Happy hello everyone. Hey, happy wife, happy life, right? I hope so, or I've been vacuuming the house for nothing. Today we'll find out if Happily Ever After lives up to the hype.
My name is Ryan Wingfield and my job is to make people happy. After years of doing stand-up comedy, I've devoted an entire year to the study of happiness. Join me each week right here on a Road Comics Road to Happiness.
Don't worry, I do love my wife, and I'm not just saying that because she's one of the 10 people who watches this web series. I'm one of those people who really loves being married. Probably because I was so bad at finding dates when I was single. All kidding aside though, my life has included a lot more smiling since I tied the knot, but not without a few bumps in the road. After all, no marriage is perfect. Show me a married couple who's never fought, and I will show you a tragic story of newlyweds who died in a car crash on their way to the honeymoon. While the rate of marriages in the United States is on the decline, about 90% of us will be married at some point in our life. Those of us who do decide to tie the knot are twice as likely to identify ourselves as very happy as opposed to those who don't, 40% to 23% respectively. Of course, like many issues when it comes to happiness, there is a cause and effect debate. Does being married make you happy, or are happy people just more likely to get married? After all, no one wants to marry a gloomy Gus, unless of course that person is also rich and or hot. The latest evidence would suggest that regardless of how happy you are as a single person, being married will make you more happy, provided of course that it is a good marriage. At a risk of oversimplifying, the difference between a good and bad marriage might be the difference between those who can make the switch from passionate love to companionate love. If you think of passionate love as the thrill of jumping out of an airplane, companionate love is kind of like when your parachute opens and you start slowly drifting to the ground. It's not quite as exciting as the initial fall, but at least it comes with the comfort of knowing it's not going to end in a terrible mess. One reason for the initial thrill of falling in love is the hormonal high you get from the experience. Adrenaline, dopamine, and serotonin all surge in the early stages of a relationship, which helps explain that glazed look on the faces of teenage sweethearts. Unfortunately, no high can go on forever, and after about a year into a relationship, the chemical cocktail in your system will return to normal levels. One could argue it is a good reason to wait at least 2 years before making a lifetime commitment. For those who make the successful transition to companionate love, they will get benefits such as loyalty, acceptance, security, and respect. And, while not as exciting as the initial thrill of falling in love, those things go a lot further to creating long-term happiness. It's a lot like the benefits of a friendship, except this is a friend you can have sex with. Speaking of which, regardless of what TV sitcoms tell you, you can get more milk if you buy the cow. Married couples on average have about 30% more sex than their single counterparts. No word on if it's the same quality of sex, but personally I'm just glad to have the opportunity. Yeah. As far as what advice I can offer, well, having only had a ring on my finger for about 7 years, I don't claim to be an expert, but I will say that my wife and I are very good at supporting each other. I do what I can to help out with our family, the household, and support her career. She does the same to me. She's also very good at laughing at my jokes, even when she's heard them a million times. For more professional advice, here are some tips from positive psychologists, along with my personal translation. 1. Compliment more than you criticize. In other words, if you can't say something nice, shut up. Step 2. Respond enthusiastically and constructively when your spouse shares good news. In other words, don't be a buzzkill. 3. Fight fair. In other words, no cheap shots, even at mother-in-laws. Step 4, spend time together. In bed, and out of bed, that too. And 5, focus on the positive. You wouldn't want them pointing out your annoying habits, would you? Every marriage will have good years and bad years, but most marriages follow a similar cycle of happiness. They will start out very happy and then reach a low point when a couple's kids become teenagers. Apparently, there's something about living with teenagers that makes you less happy. Those marriages that survive their kids' teen years will see satisfaction resume when their kids move out of the house, as well as a major dip in their monthly food bill. Regarding marriages that don't survive, I'm sure it comes as no surprise that they can have a big negative impact on your happiness. In fact, economists have calculated going through a divorce lowers your happiness the same as if your annual salary was cut by $66,000 a year. That is particularly ironic if you have to pay an alimony in excess of that amount. In contrast, a good marriage will boost your happiness by the same amount as a $100,000 increase to your salary. While divorce can have a major impact on your happiness, including things like depression and even physical illness, most people will bounce back in about 2 years. Those who decide to remarry are more likely to claim happiness in their new marriage than they were as a divorced single. One of the biggest concerns with people who are about to tie the knot is the often cited statistic that half of all marriages end in divorce. This is misleading for a number of reasons, among them the fact that a lot of people get divorced and then remarry and then divorced again. So while a majority of people will stay married until death do they part, there is a small group that is just really bad at being married, and they are skewing the statistic. And I'm not saying that if you've been divorced that you should give up on marriage, but if you've been divorced 3, 4, 5 times, maybe it's you. At the very least, you're a bad judge of character, and maybe you should look for happiness somewhere other than the end of an aisle. That's all for this edition of A Road Comics Road to Happiness. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and leave any happy comments below. Next week, sex! How to find happiness in less than 2 minutes. Until then, stay happy.